The best part of this class was definitely learning more about the ocean and the processes and how that impacts the biology and the different organisms that live in the ocean in a scientific sense. Because we all know whales and otters and stuff, but there's so much more there that we maybe like have some experience with, but that we don't necessarily know on like a scientific level, like what the taxonomy is and how it relates to all of the other organisms in the ocean. So that's definitely really cool.
Hi, I'm Allie Cole. I was so happy that I got to take this class with Randy. It is a super amazing class, and you guys are going to have a really great time. It can seem a little daunting, but I promise you that as long as you actually show up to the lectures and you take your notes, you're going to be fine. Something that I found really helpful was after every lecture, I would review my notes and just write down what I thought was the most important part from that lecture. And then at the end of the semester, I had all of these little important tidbits that I could look back on and be like, oh, right, that was a really cool thing that I think might help me with the exam or might help me later in my marine science career. So being able to have that collection of thoughts is really helpful, and also you can take that with you wherever you go in the next classes.
For sponges, I drew out like little diagrams, and I found it really helpful to review to kind of visualize how these different taxonomical groups look, and that really helped me throughout the class. And it was I definitely had a really big sense of achievement like when I finished the class, because it was a lot of material. So but it's definitely worth the time to go through and learn everything and just take the time to review the material, and then you can actually see this stuff in real life and apply it like in the field when you go to the beach, or if you're going to do the marine semester, you might see things there. So it's really interesting to take this material and see how it applies in the field or in real life.
For just in general, I think the best thing is rereading and retaking your notes, possibly right after class when your memory is like most refreshed, right? So that way you kind of get a sense of what you're writing, you get a big picture, and then you can kind of like tie in like the topics and key terms. And that's a huge plus, especially when it comes to exams. I think that's going to help you in the far run.
The exams are hard, but they are nothing you can't study for. If you take the time to pay attention in class during the lectures and go back and review the material after class and then again before the exams, I think you'll do fine. It's really nothing you can't study for. It's just a lot of like memorization and being able to put things together. And you have to take the time to do that outside of class before you can repeat that on the exams.
I really enjoy taking marine biology. It was my first sort of elective biology class that I got to take, and I was so excited to learn something that I was really interested in that wasn't just general biology, and I got to really dive into a subject that I'd always been fascinated by. Pausing. I think as far as tips and tricks, number one trick, draw everything, draw diagrams, draw charts, make maps so your brain understands how the concepts tie together, how the data works. Visualizing everything, there's so much information, will help you succeed in the course. The march through taxonomy is a hard time for the class, but that's I think an exam that I found super valuable for myself, because it's information that I've used throughout the rest of my college degree and in other classes, and it set me ahead because I've already known that information. And so paying attention and really using it will be very valuable to you.
Just stay positive, get some sleep, eat right, and party on, succeed.
I don't know, actually reading the papers. Did somebody already say that? That's a big one.
Discussion sessions, definitely read the paper. You won't be productive at all in class if you sat there silent because you didn't read the paper and you don't have anything to add to the discussion. It's just better for yourself and everyone else if you know what you're talking about, and that you can contribute actively to the class. Makes it way
like the discussion part. I think the biggest thing is just make sure you thoroughly read the papers, because that'll just help you in the discuss them so much better, and kind of not just read the paper, but also think about, what is the meanings of this, how this relates to the subject material in class, things like that can just help give background and context to your discussion and can help make that a lot more meaningful.
My tip for the discussion is to actually go through and read the paper that you have for that week. A lot of people will just skim and think that they're okay, which if you can read like that, great. I can't. I have to go through and actually read the most important sections, and I highlight each paper and figure out, what do I think we should talk about? It might be different than what your TF thinks you should talk about, but still bring that up because what you think is important and could lead to a really great discussion.
Also preparing for a discussion, just read the paper. Read the paper. You don't have to know everything. Trust me, that's what the TFs are there. That's what the teachers are there for. It's great to actually read the paper and then write some questions down. Just say like, hey, I don't understand the vocabulary. Trust me. Just reading those papers, there are tons of words and tons of topics that you're just like, it kind of goes over your head. But once you actually sit down with your fellow classmates and you're talking and you kind of go into these conversations, it starts to click. Instead of being by yourself and kind of figure it out, it's harder, it's going to take longer. And I'm sure you're not only going to be taking a class like this, you're going to probably take 4 or 5 classes, of course, but just trying to read the paper. That's if there's one main advice I can give, it's just read the paper as much as you can. Take away from the
relax, guys. It's going to be fine. You're going to do well if you put in the effort to do well. And Randy is such a fun person, and this is a really fun class. So just relax and enjoy it. And I know that doing it during a pandemic maybe isn't ideal, but I think you get out of it what you put into it.